And actually, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Because I know me.
You know, so that's our life's mission. That's the McShin's mission.
You don't have to understand my boundaries to respect them.
Well, no, I'm the president and co-founder of McShin, a person in long-term recovery from substance use disorders.
How do you go about fixing the damage in the trust between the family after you get out?
Okay, I gotta work on that.
Celebrating my 6 months. Didn't have cake.
Yeah.
Gosh, you showed up.
All right, welcome to another Getting Heard podcast here at the McShin Foundation. My name is Kyle Goddard, and CPRS here at the McShin Foundation. I've got a special guest. Put down your fucking phone. I've got a special guest here. Somebody kind of holds true and dear to me. You'd like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, my name's Andrew MacBean, and I am definitely an addict.
Where'd we meet at, Andrew?
Let's see, Kyle, you and I met in Henrico County Jail East, Pod 8A, bunks 13 and 47.
Ooh, got a memory on him.
Yeah, you had the CeeLo spot.
The CeeLo spot. Yeah, we used to shoot dice in my corner. Like we were speaking before this, I want to kind of talk about substance use inside of it while being incarcerated. I know I have a lot of experience with it. I wanted to kind of speak. You know, I bring somebody in here to be authentic, somebody that's experienced the stuff that we talk about. You know, so ultimately that's what we're here to do: share our experience.
Let's go.
I know. I don't want to put you. I'm gonna let you tell a little bit of your story, but I know you struggle with substance use while incarcerated.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's kind of nuts now that I have some clean time again to think about. Like, I couldn't put the drugs down while I was locked up.
Mm-mm.
There was a point in time that I was like, "What am I doing?" You know, I kind of want to talk about that, a little bit of a struggle, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when they say that shit is insidious, when they say the disease of addiction is an insidious disease, it's moments like what you're talking about now when you look back in retrospect and you realize that when you were in a controlled environment like incarceration, and, you know, I think to a lot of the public, to the lay people who don't have any either first or second degree contact with incarceration, they all think that it's like lockdown and that, you know, drugs can never get into the jails, and they don't realize that all it takes is either a willing offender or a willing staff member, whether CO or outside third-party staff member, to bring substances of all kinds, you know, intoxicants, whether it's tobacco or heroin, into the system, and it's available.
Yeah, not only that, like the psych meds that are prescribed in there are very well misused and mistreated as well too.
Absolutely.
So it's not just the stuff that I'm willing to bring in; it's the stuff that they're willing to give me while incarcerated that I can still misuse and mistreat. And I like to talk about this because, like, we use incarceration to subdue that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a proper answer to
Absolutely. The criminal justice system is, you know, I'm grateful that it's in the American justice system. It seems it's starting to become more of an actual justice system than just a legal system. There are some reforms that are occurring currently that I fully support, and anybody who's had contact with the criminal justice system should appreciate.
Your last incarceration stay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my last bid. I was picked up. I was a fugitive for a good while, and I got picked up on May 4th of 2022, and was released on bond on November the 10th of 2022. So 7 months, give or take 6-7 months.
Right. And I ran into you in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Make a pattern out of that.
Yeah, that's where we like to meet up. That's where we like to meet up. That's where all my friends are.
That's right. And the good food.
Yeah, the meals are great. grateful for him. Thank you for that experience. But I'm gonna pass this time.
Facts.
You were struggling when I ran into you in there.
Yeah. I was.
You were struggling.
Um,
Your desire to still. You had these thoughts of
man.
you wanted to become
Well, it's
certain
like,
things, and
yeah, you
and you were still chasing while in there.
I was chasing. I was definitely chasing. For me, the glorification, like when you're left with an opportunity where you've literally got nothing but time, you know, and they say doing time, right? So like you're left with nothing but time, and for I think all of us that all the offenders that I've ever known, and that's probably just unique to my circle of people that I've had contact with, but you think and you glorify and you fantasize, and for an addict like me, I fantasized a lot about drugs. I fantasized a lot about successfully using, and I made these plans, and I shared them with you that I was going to get out, do what I had to do to, please the powers that be, and I was going to give it another run, and I was going to successfully do it this time. Well, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Here's what happened.
Yeah. How'd that go?
Didn't go so great, Kyle. So, yeah, and I stayed true. The other day we were talking. Our circle of friends was talking about it, and we all did exactly what we said we were going to do, And I think, unfortunately, what I had said that I was going to do was I was going to give it an attempt to successfully use, and I did, and it didn't work. Surprise, surprise,
Not successfully.
No, I used. I was successful at getting kicked out of one RCO and coming very close to becoming incarcerated again. By the grace of God and an incredible lawyer and great friends, those things didn't happen. So, and I was able, I'm grateful for that experience though, because I was able to really dig into recovery and realize that I can't use no matter what. I mean, I can, but it's just not going to be successful. Like, the consequences is where I've gotten so tired of the consequences, man. So.
Yeah. For me this time, like, I struggle with incarcerated, like, where being incarcerated was real easy, and it was the moment, right? Like, all right, I can take a break from the life that I was doing, right?
Yeah.
And there's a specific time that I can remember I got locked up. These cops surrounded me, and I was with my brother, and they put the cuffs on us at the same time. We looked at each other and smiled, like, God, all right. But then on that same bid, what am I doing? I'm knocking on the door of the next pod, like, where's it at? What's going on? I need this. To the point where, like, I was sneaking into other pods to,
by any means necessary.
Right, and then again, I got incarcerated after that bid, and I was spending $2,000-3,000 a week on on certain substances, and like to the point that I had to go through another detox while still incarcerated.
It's a hell of a detox too, bro.
Yeah, and then so when I got out, that was a short bid. That was like 4 months, and when I got out, my brain hadn't had that little time to rewire. But this last time when I got locked up, I made a promise, like, I'm not using. And there was a point in time that I tried. And my luckily my cellmate at the time was like, oh no, you told me you were going to not use at all costs no matter what. And I had got some stuff, and he was like, yeah, you got to sell it. Like, you got to fight me or sell it. I was like, I'll do both. I'll do both, and so I did, and so I did, but thank God he did that, because like it was just one bad day in there that was like, I was like, you know what? I was on a 53-day lockdown because of COVID.
Yeah.
On a massive lockdown because of COVID, and like I was going insane, dude.
Yeah.
They give you a tablet. They give you no books. Like, the books that they give you, they can come and take free-willing from you, because the library cart never came in there.
Yep.
And when they did, it never came with the book that you asked for.
Nope.
And so you have no way to entertain yourself in there, and I'm going insane. And to the point, like, I'm thinking sniffing Seroquel is a good idea. and I still didn't do that. And so then I run into some certain friends in there, and I preach my recovery stuff when I'm locked up, and of course that doesn't ever go real well. It's like, shut the fuck up, you're locked up, and then I end up on a pod with those same friends, and they're asking me to use my Just for the Day book, and so like this time I made a conscious effort to decide to like stay clean at all cost, participate in recovery the best I could, right, by going to a program in there. I was eventually put on a work program where, like, trust me,
The opportunity was right.
I'm gonna get whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'm working in the community of my hometown community,
Yeah.
and I have friends and family members that will honestly do what I say or ask.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
but I had tobacco use while I was there, but I wasn't. Caffeine and nicotine are the only substance I use to this day right now, and but like the effort was real easy. Like I had random people pulling up asking, "Hey, I know you're locked up. You want something, bro? I'll bring it." And it was a daily fight. So when people often say like, your jail time doesn't count, and none of this, and I'm like, well, I don't know where you were incarcerated at, but my days count.
Yeah, it's a matter of differing opinion, I mean, and I think it all depends. Like, if you just, like, abstinence doesn't equal recovery, right?
Not at all.
So if you've got a bid, you're doing a bid, and you have no active participation in any sort of recovery, even if it's just by yourself, reading a basic text or reading a big book, and going through a prayer routine and getting a conscious contact with your higher power, like, if that's what you're doing, I personally believe, yeah, sure, count your clean time. Absolutely. If you're actively trying to stay clean, you're fighting off urges, and, you're working a program of recovery, even if only solo, I agree with it wholeheartedly. But if you're just gathering up clean time, I mean, each person's clean time is their own choice. That's their own opinion and judgment. But you might want to take a look at that. If you're just sitting inside doing the abstinence thing because you don't have access to getting high, you might want to take a look at that.
Yeah. But I always had access. That's my point being is like, that I know the Kyle that didn't want to stop, that wasn't willing to do anything different, would have found it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
we would have. And that's been true on every bit of time I've ever done. I was locked up most of my 20s. And it wasn't until like this last bid that I was on a program in Henrico County Jail one time too, where I did really well because I had to.
Yeah.
Right. Like if I didn't, I would have lost that certain privilege. Right. Like,
yeah, no doubt.
like I'm going out in the community working yet again, and I'm watching dudes get knocked off left and right. They're still thinking they could successfully use while being monitored by that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this time around, like I said, that was a tough one, and I actually got to sit with myself, and there was some merit to me being locked up, and but it still feels counterintuitive to me, if that's what we're trying to address, like with the like institutionalization of somebody that of course, like, using illegal substance is illegal, right?
Yeah.
But giving me 18 months for a probation violation, right? For drug use, and saying, well, you've tried recovery before, you didn't want it, is it's not an answer, because it's a deterrent for me. Well, it's a deterrent, so it deters me from recovery, and then I go into a system where, like, I already struggle with trying to fit in, wanting to be a part of. Right. And so I go into a pod or whatever, a jail cell, and I truly don't want to use drugs anymore.
Right.
And then, but I've got to fit in. Right.
It's a choice, but sure.
Right.
I agree. I'm on the same page as you.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a people pleaser. Right.
It's tough to be a lone wolf.
Right.
It's dangerous in some places.
So, yeah, I become something I don't like to be when I'm locked up, for real.
As anybody who's institutionalized does.
But so it was a real struggle this time. Like, that time was like, I'm sticking to it, right? Like, I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, you did.
and meant it like I had the stuff offered to me all the time, and nobody would believe me. They're like, "How? We know you're getting high in here," and I'm like, "Dude, I take drug tests on a weekly basis."
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so if you're incarcerated and struggling with it, because I know this podcast reach a lot of people that are
Yeah.
incarcerated. Like start that life that you want to, like I said before, like that life you want to live out here. Start living it in there.
Yeah, and to all the men and women who are hearing this from inside the walls or the fences, like this, it might sound like it's impossible, like how could you possibly do that? But it can be as simple as picking up a book. Get yourself a basic text, get yourself a big book, get yourself a daily affirmations, whatever flavor of, daily meditation book you have or want, just pick one up and make a routine. Start in there. It'll trust me, it'll carry volumes once you hit the street. So
And
keep your chins up.
reach out to us, man. Like y'all, aren't we post stuff for them to like reach out to us?
I mean, yeah, we do. Yeah, we run banners with our address and everything. And if you guys are watching this, send us a letter and address it to Get in the Herd podcast, and I'm sure we'll get it and we can answer.
Yeah.
I've said this a few times, but I haven't received anything yet.
So yeah, for real, reach out. You can address it to Get in the Herd podcast, and if you want to speak to directly one of our guests, put their name in the letter, and we'll try to get back to you.
Absolutely. If you guys have requests on guests or things like that, we'll do our best to get those people on. And if you guys have specific topics you guys want us to cover, you can also do that.
Yeah, for sure. Please write in about topics. Write in if you want to write me directly through Get in the Herd podcast. Do it, and Art will get it to me, and I will get back to you.
I'll run the address right now.
Yeah,
it's
please
running.
do.
Bottom of the screen.
Because me and Bean and anybody that's ever been incarcerated that's currently in an active recovery program absolutely understand the struggle, the thoughts, the battle, the conflicts of being incarcerated while not wanting to use, but still having the fuck it mentality. To be blunt with it, the I don't care, I'm just doing time.
Yeah, it's like, get off my back. You don't understand my situation. You're not inside these walls with me. You don't get it. And trust and believe that we get it. More so than I care to admit sometimes. But, I totally understand what it's like to, they say that the only promise from this thing is the freedom from active addiction, right?
That's it.
That's it. And that any addict can lose a desire to use.
Find a new way to live.
Find a new way to live, right? That desire inside there, like I was saying earlier, that desire was strong for me because I don't like feeling uncomfortable. I don't like, and when you're already in a place that's built to make you uncomfortable, that feeling, that negative feeling can just really blow up out of proportion. So, of course, my instinctive brain wanted to get high. So if that's what you're going through in there, find some other people that are like-minded and talk about it. If you have access to a substance abuse program or any sort of mental health program in there, get in it.
Get in it.
It might seem like, it's lame or whatever, but trust and believe, if you want a fighting chance at this thing, get the ball rolling while you're inside.
Get in it, yeah.
Do you have any recommendations or any tips for someone who may be detoxing or withdrawing in jail? Because I know that's got to be tough. It's hard to do it on the outside. I can't imagine doing it locked up.
Fuck, dude, this man. Fake seizures and go to the infirmary. No, don't do that. That's a joke. I'm
gonna run a disclaimer.
Don't do that. It's hard to say drink lots of water because we know the water's god awful. But force yourself to shower. Force yourself to shower because you can get a lot of hydration through shower. Mm-hmm. And it also helps soothe the body.
Yeah. Plus, hygiene is very important. If you were an IV user, and you come in and you're usually pretty beat up and broken, and you have open sores on your body, keeping those things clean is important because, as we all know, if anyone who's been incarcerated, these jails are not known for being kept clean.
And so force yourself to drink water, right? Don't drink the juices that they're giving you on your tray or none
It's all
of that
sugar.
stuff. Drink water, right? It's not the best water, but that's what we have. Drink that water. Shower. I promise you, there's some nurses on your staff that do care. Speak directly to those nurses, right? Like speak directly and tell them and don't be scared to tell them exactly what drugs you're coming off of. Like if you just got incarcerated and you lied on your intake stuff, like, hey, go back and say, look, I am coming off of fentanyl, I'm coming off of Xanax, I'm coming off of alcohol, and advocate if they're telling you no, like leverage those nurses, right? There's some nurses that care and show up to actually do their job. It might not seem like it, but I promise you there's a few in there. And be honest with them. Say, hey, look, not feeling the best.
I would say especially if you're coming off of benzos or alcohol, because that can be dangerous. So,
Now they got the new stuff. They got the xylazine and whatever they're cutting dope with now.
Right.
The withdrawals from that literally can be fatal. So
facing a fentanyl, a benzo with a xylazine detox is
it's gonna be hard, but it's possible.
right. It's very possible, but you need to advocate. You are your best advocate. Like nobody knows how you're feeling or what you're going through, and I know it's hard to talk, and you're going to be in pain. Like there was one time I was detoxing in Pamunkey County Jail, and my cellie beat the hell out of me while I was puking in the toilet because I just couldn't stop puking, and that's before they had detox meds in institutions, and but I promise you they have stuff. But the biggest thing is keeping your body hydrated. Your body heals off of water, right? Like that's we're
water and sleep.
Yeah, you might not want to eat, but you probably should.
Right, just a little bit, but then like you can survive off of just water. That's my biggest suggestion is force water.
Even if it comes right back up,
right?
Keep drinking.
Put it back in you.
It'll eventually stay down.
Put it back in you, and the more you can, once you physically feel enough to start walking, walk. Yeah. Physical activity. As soon as you're allowed to like start getting a little bit of physical activity, you don't have to go hard, but get you some physical activity in because it's good for the brain and physically good for the body.
That's right.
Yeah, you probably want to stay. Keep your probably just it's hard to think about, but you probably want to like talk or stay at like keep your mind busy. You don't want to just lay
depression.
there.
Depression can set in pretty rough, especially when you first get in there. If you're in any sort of intake isolation, just remember that it will be over soon. It's not a permanent setting. Just keep going, keep pushing forward. It's going to be over soon.
And
what you got anything you would want to say to any nurses or COs that might be listening?
For sure. And look, and I'm going to keep it positive, right? Like, because I've met some really good ones that to this day, like, that hold a special spot in my heart.
Yep.
And
good human beings.
right. And so, Art, when I spoke in the jail the other day, I said that it'd be hard for me to ever say thank you to the sheriff for letting us in there. Right. But now it's easy for me to do because I realized there's just a job, right, that they're fulfilling. But I am a human, and so is that person incarcerated, right? Like, we are not the crimes we commit a lot of times. Like, there's certain crimes that, yes, that I get, right? But when somebody is saying that they don't feel good and that they're hurting, it doesn't mean that they're trying to con you out of anything. Because trust me, when I'm locked up, I understand that I'm not going nowhere. If whatever I tell you doesn't change my release date, doesn't change when I get out of here. Right, what it does is for my physical health and my safety. Right, I did make a choice to put a needle in my arm and commit the crimes that I committed, but I'm now making a choice to better my health while I have the chance.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean,
so in the simple fact of if I come to you and the answer is no, it's fine to tell me no, okay? But what it's not fine to do is to belittle me and tell me no at the same time, right? Because now I'm already battling the physical detox with a mental and spiritual imbalance in my life where I'm I don't want to be here. I don't want to die, but I don't want to live either at the moment.
Yeah,
right? So
for sure.
What happens there is like it could potentially rile up the community, right? I could go back, end up fighting somebody, or I I might decide to jump off the top tier. So it's about how you speak to the inmate or the incarcerated individual. And it's not about what you say to them; it's how you say it to them. Right? Like I don't mind being told no. Right? I get I did what I did. And I get what I get, but I don't. Your job is to secure. You're paid to secure. Right? If you feel the need to help, but don't ever
Don't
hurt.
hinder.
Don't ever hurt. Right? Don't ever be the judge and jury, because the judge gets paid to do that, and the jury volunteers. Right?
Yeah, the consequence is being locked up, not like being treated horribly while you're locked up. That's
Right.
not part of the
No. No, not at all.
And for any correctional officers listening on the same point, like don't make the inmate's life any harder than it has to be, because you don't want your life to be made any harder than it has to be.
Right.
And that's just a fact. I don't want to expound on it, but y'all figure it out.
Right. They know.
Yeah.
But that's ultimately what it boils down to, because I could tell you there was one night on a detox pod, this old deputy used to come up to the window, 229, and he'd go, "Hey guys," he'd know there's a lot of us up, and there was a little laundry room down the hall, and they would play music, and he'd be like, "Y'all want me to open the door so y'all can hear the music?" And
That's cool.
And so then he'd come here and he'd be like, "Man, what the fuck, bro? You've been here. This is your 4th time in this detox pod. Like, you probably should figure something out."
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, "So what's going on? Why did you start using drugs again after you get out?"
Yep.
And not that a lot of us were willing to talk to him, but like now that I look back, if I would have had recovery those few times before, I would have sat on the trash can and talked through a grate to him, and he would bring extra ice to the pod, and extra water, and when it came time to make sure you got up to eat, because a lot of times once you fall asleep in a detox, you don't want to get up, but you also are starving. Like you're coming back and you're starving. He would personally bring you your tray, that morning tray, and like there's been a few of those that have really like impacted me. But there's also been like one time I was detoxing and I had them kick me I was fell out in the day room and they're like, "Get the F up, man," and like kick me, and I'm like in my boxers just coming out of a shower, and I'm like, and then luckily the dudes on pod's like, "Dude, this dude's not right, something's wrong with him," and so they come in, they're like, "Oh, it's just Goddard," like,
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, I'm not right," and he's like, they kicked me to get up, like, "Come on, quit faking it." I'm like, "Dude, you think I want to lay here and let you kick me?"
Yeah.
And and then there's also been the simple, like I said, I could get told no easily. If you were like, "Hey, Goddard, I can't do that. That's not a thing." And
Yeah.
I go, "Okay, that's fine."
Really, it's just like respect, a little bit of respect, 'cause
Yeah,
it's
it's
passion,
consistency and respect is exactly what it is. Yeah, and that's what's lacking in I don't want to say a lot of, but in my experience, and I think Kyle's as well, there's been a fair number of staff that consistency and respect is lacking, to say the least. Some of it's non-existent.
Right? Yeah, we're kind of facing that in our community. I don't know if y'all seen the news this morning.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah, they were talking about it yesterday while we were at Henrico West.
Yeah, and one of those were really good to me, dude. One of those dudes in the lineup were really good to me. When you get out, check it out.
I mean, I've been locked up, but I've never had to do any time. But I'm sure that you guys would say that those out there that are showing compassion and respect and all that, like, it's definitely like noticed and
appreciated.
It's
Yeah,
appreciated.
it's appreciated. And it's hard for us to show appreciation when we're in there, though. Because we have
certain laws of the land.
right. Like I have a code, y'all have a code, right? Like but like I greatly appreciate the ones that took the time. Any of the OAR people that come in that jail and willing to help. Any of the people that come in, any volunteers coming in there too. I appreciate every single one of y'all.
Yep.
Anybody helping out, like secondary staff that help out with trustees and stuff, like appreciate y'all, because a lot of times that's where the human connection is for us, because it's hard for us to make that connection with the CO, but the few and far between that do make that human connection and that say, "Hey, look, I do care, and I'm just here to protect and secure."
It's as simple as one human being treating another human being as if they were a human being. It's that simple. It's kindness and compassion and
yeah, because I used to always say it. You're one DUI from being my cellmate.
facts.
right? Your one,
Yep.
your one family function of drinking 2 glasses of wine and getting pulled over and becoming my cellmate,
One bad decision, that's all it is.
right?
That's all it is.
And
It's the same for all of us.
right, and because a lot of times I'm in there on the most pettiest stuff. Like there was, all my original charges were, kind of severe, but there are a lot of times I was just in there because I didn't show up for a drug test, right?
Yeah.
Like I didn't, and then once I don't show up, I'm like I go on the run, so I'm getting absconded in a failed urine screen, and I usually when I get caught, I get another charge of possession when I get caught, but I was never in there for nothing severe, and I would tell them like, you're one thought away from being on this side.
That's right.
And to be vigilant and mindful of, like, hey, I am human, because I've had many of them say like, done a lot of what you did, just
didn't
never
get caught.
just didn't get
Never
caught.
got yeah.
And so those ones are the ones that usually understand.
God knows I should have done time. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was in Virginia
Oh,
with some of those charges, I would have
yeah,
been.
You were
yeah.
fucked when you were telling
Yeah.
me the one of like in Florida. He beat up a cop in Florida.
I didn't beat up a cop. Like, I kicked a cop, but
Hey, in their eyes, dog, you insulted.
yeah,
And anyway, yeah.
I was wearing sandals though, so
that makes it all right.
The team has made it okay.
So, just treat us like we're humans, man. Because, and I promise you, if I had got treated real well, and a lot of people say give respect to get respect, and in this sense, once we are given the respect, we will always give it back.
Yeah.
And then there's times that I would stand up like, bro, no, he's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro,
We'll
like,
check other inmates.
Yo, leave him
Absolutely.
alone. Like that's the dude that's going to bring the remote for the TV. That's
Yeah.
the dude that's going to let us go play
Don't fuck it
basketball,
up.
right? And they're the ones that would look out, right? Like and I'd advocate for it. Once I'm given the respect, it's always hard for me to initially give respect, right? I'm going to treat them like a human originally, but at the very base level, I'm not really going to talk to you because it's who I am. It's instilled in me a convict, and we've got a murder code type of deal, and we're not talking. But what happens is if they show the respect and are consistent, like Bean said, very consistent, I know what to expect.
Yep.
Keep consistency as a high key
That's right.
in our routine of being locked up. So,
And just be yourself. Man.
yeah, don't be.
Don't come in there straight out of the academy and flopping your chest out and wanting to flex on everybody because there are people in there that'll flex harder than you.
Right.
Trust me.
Yeah. Especially if you're in an upper level institution, guys. Value your life because some of those guys aren't coming home.
Yeah.
And respect them with the almost upper respect.
They
no matter
know about
which.
respect and consistency up there. They've been taught the hard way, some of them.
Yeah. So.
So we were talking about intoxication during incarceration, right?
Yeah.
So are we allowed to say any specific?
say whatever you want, man.
Say whatever you
Like,
want.
If you want me to take it out at the end, we'll take it
No,
out.
it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying, like, so one of the things I want to say is if anybody who's currently doing time, everybody in the incarceration system knows about Suboxone, right?
Right.
So Suboxone is the drug of choice in the system today.
At least here, yeah.
At least here, for sure, from my own personal experience. I'd be willing to bet that that's not.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, it's big across of it, but like,
Yeah. For sure. So let's just take a look at the Suboxone trade for a second because it's ridiculous. It is absolutely insane, right? First of all, if any of you guys that are listening have done a Suboxone while you're incarcerated, one thing I had to realize while doing it, I'm sure you have too, is the route in which it gets into the institution.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? That's butt drugs.
it is. It's definitely,
Straight up butt drugs. And some people don't rap it as well as they should. And it's just like
you can smell it.
the absurdity of that. Like in retrospect, I get to look back at my own use
Right.
incarcerated. And I'm like, wow, man, I was crazy. Like, and not just Suboxone. Like, I bought like a half point of heroin one time for $80. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh, you know.
I'm pretty sure it was like 70% baby powder.
Probably.
It's crazy. It's
Probably.
absolutely crazy, man. But at the time, it was nothing crazy about it. It was what I needed to do right then in that moment because I had to get well.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, the things we do for our disease to feed that monster.
At all cost.
At all costs.
At all cost. And yeah, no, I'm not proud of. Like I said, the mass amount of money that I was spending on using while incarcerated
Yeah.
was ridiculous. It is a whole different drug trade. It is a whole different market scale. And they always say every time a drug passes a border, the price goes up.
Yep,
Right.
for sure.
So,
Each wall is a border.
and so, but you don't have to use while incarcerated.
You do
man.
not.
You don't. That's the biggest thing, right? And don't let your friend choices in there influence your use, right? Like,
Yeah. Be yourself regardless. We were just talking a moment ago about the COs, but for real, be yourself, whoever you are. Be true to yourself. Find your own truth.
right. If you don't know who you are, like, start writing. Pick up a pen, pick up a book, write down some stuff, get some stuff out of you while you're in there. I know some people don't have anybody to share stuff with, but if you can find one genuine dude, like I found being incarcerated, and thank God I did. Like, there are good people there.
Yeah.
And get you one or two good dudes and that you can tell anything to without that convict mentality. Get some of this nasty stuff out of you, like how you truly feel. Like, man, I'm over it today. I just don't, because there's times I was like, fuck it, just give me life, right? And
You keep doing this pitter pat shit
right,
in and out.
and but I would talk about that stuff, and people would rationalize with me, but I never truly had like one person to talk to, other than I'd like picking up the phone. But that there's something different in that face-to-face value.
Yeah, it also doesn't come in the span of 15 minutes at a time.
Right, and they call it pillow talk and shit in there, but get you a good person in there that is willing to hold you accountable. Like, if you want to start a workout routine, something like that you make a vow to not use while you're in there.
Find some people to hold you accountable. Hold them accountable as well. I mean,
Right.
people say there are no friends inside, but I hate to say that's an old stigma, man. I guess it depends on where you are, what camp
Right.
you're at. But I mean, where we were, I found friends, found lifelong friends, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, me and Bean met back in 2017 or something, or
Yeah,
16.
16.
And it's been nothing but pleasurable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and we've never used together.
No, we
never
haven't.
we've never used together, dude.
Luckily.
we used honey buns and
Shit, we
and
did.
ramen noodles and all that together,
Yeah.
gambling together.
Pop-Tarts, bro.
Yeah, 48 Pop-Tarts in a week.
That shit happened, all right? That's real.
That's a real
I
story.
want to thank Molly MacBean for sending me nothing but blueberry Pop-Tarts in a care pack one time.
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
Thanks for the diabetes. Appreciate you.
And me and Miles took bets on them.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah,
I beat them both. They were both wrong.
Yeah, but that was manipulated and leveraged.
So, next subject.
But yeah. You got any closing thoughts, Bean?
I don't, man. To anybody who's down right now, I've been there. You know what I'm saying? Kyle and I have both been there. And I know for me, like, there were plenty of moments where it didn't feel like anybody gave one hot shit about me. Like my family had forgotten me. All my friends had abandoned me. And it was pretty hopeless and dark. Just for anybody who's out there right now, my heart goes out to you. You are not alone, even though it feels like it. Your situation hopefully is temporary, and just like any other human being on the face of this planet, all you have right now is today. You got this breath, and that's it. And you don't have to be locked up. Even though you're physically locked up, you can be free inside your mind. Imprisonment is a mindset. So keep your chins up. It'll be over hopefully soon. And just keep fighting a good fight. I love you guys.
Thank you, Bean. I really appreciate your time coming in here, man.
No problem. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
All set.
All
I
set.
appreciate you guys.
Of course, man.
Cool.
Remember to stay in the herd.
That's it.